Very warm welcome to one and all. Are we all ready to begin the day? Fantastic. Good morning, my name is Mukta and I'm from the NSRCell team. I take care of outreach initiatives and I'm here to share a little about what we do at NSRCell. Okay, like you all know, it's the startup hub at IIM Bangalore. And okay, when we talk about an incubation center, what is it that's most important for a startup to support? Any answers from the audience? No? Sorry? Identity. Okay. You create an identity. Sorry? Visibility. Okay. Proper guidance, probably through mentorship. So knowledge, which is supported by academics and the courses that we have at IIM Bangalore. The research team, which helps us put all of this together. A wonderful mentoring team, which comes with a lot of experience, probably the kind of experience that we have in this room. We have 50-odd mentors who are focused and have experience in niche areas. So there's a mapping that happens when you have a person who comes in with an idea. There's a mapping to ensure that the right mentor is hand-holding and helping them move up and set their milestones and achieve them as well. So if you look at what we've been doing, we are all always outcome driven, right? So about 124 plus ventures have been incubated with us over a period of time, and we have been able to touch and help 40,000 plus entrepreneurs, and 5,400 jobs have been created by our startups over a period of time. But just in the last 1 year, we seem to see a big surge. This is what I was just talking about. So we spoke about, someone was talking about being guided. So mentorship, research and education go hand in hand. Seed funding, we get a lot of funding from corporates as well as educational institutions which support us in this endeavor. The launchpad is something that happens for 3 months. It's basically for someone who comes in with an idea and they want to figure out whether they're really ready for it or not. So the 3-month period, they don't have to register. They're just a part of it. They try and put in milestones. They try and see if they can move ahead. And when they feel they're ready, then they go on to the incubation stage. The incubation stage is for a year for all profit, for startups under the profit space, and then it's for 18 months for startups under the non-profit or social venture space. So this is the 3-step strategy that we have at NSRCell. We always begin with an exploratory meeting, and then we move on to the stage of pre-incubation, which is 3 months, which I just shared, and then we move on to incubation, and then you're out. What do I mean is you're ready to fly out of the nest, you've been incubated, you are ready to go to the market, and your product is ready. And these are certain statistics of mentoring sessions that have been happening so far. I was just talking about a sudden surge that we see in the last 1 year, and some people who are on our mentor board and their profiles are being shared here. Like I was mentioning, that the startups and the mentors are basically mapped to ensure that they get the right kind of guidance. This is about the Launchpad, the program that we have, which has seen about 180 plus ventures, and we've had a largest cohort of 60 ventures, and the focus is always the GTM, as we all talk about. You come in with an idea, you look at what is it that you need to do, you get mentored, then you do a prototype, and then you have a GTM strategy and you're ready to get onto the market, right? So, as I continue to scroll at the slides, what I'd just like to share, taking a couple of minutes more, is that you have everything that you need under the NSRCell umbrella for a startup. You talk about knowledge, you talk about mentorship, you talk about, with all of this, what is it that comes constantly? You set up milestones as a startup, right? You're all co-founders and founders here today. So looking at how you're moving is what really helps. And what can you tap in at? I am being a part of NSRCell is the collaborations that we have. You're looking at doing events, you're looking at attending something, so you can do all of that. There are various events that happen throughout your incubation process. Like some of you are probably already aware, and some of you might want to know a little more. So this is the information of some of our startups who've been doing really well. And this is our Women Startup Program team. So if I just put it in a and quickly share, we have student-led ventures, which happen through Texas Instrument, and the event that gives it a start off is IICDC, which focuses on a challenge that is there across India, where the best of the students are picked up and then they are incubated here at NSRCell. And then we have the social, which I was talking about, which has about an 18-month duration. And we've had 8 such ventures as a part of the social group. And then we're looking at 18, which is the new group right now. We've also had extended collaborations now, the new initiatives with Ford and Mphasis as well. So these are some of the opportunities that you get while being at NSRCell. You get to be a part of different exhibitions where you get possible mentors to come and take a peek in, not just mentors, but also VCs who might be interested to invest in your firm. Sorry. So this is what I was talking about in a nutshell. It can go on and on, but what I'd like to stop at is that everything that you need for starting up, you have at NSRCell. You want to reach out to us, please get in touch with us. If you have an idea and you want to get incubated, you have ideas at nsrcell.org, you can reach out to us. And without taking it further, I'd like to extend the welcome to the panel here today. Rishikesh, Mr. Vijay, and I think we have sorry? Yeah, Mr. Himanshu and Mr. Vijay also already here? Okay, Kevin as well. Is Mr. Kevin here? No, he hasn't come in. Okay. So Teardown is an event which will help you all, no matter what stage that you're in, to figure your way ahead. This is going to be a very, very important feedback to you because it comes completely unbiased. And the people who are in the room today with the kind of experience that they carry, please take it and work on it. It's really going to help you. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to Keshav and his team. Thank you so much, Keshav. Done with it.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I think most of you know my name. My name is Keshav. So I take care of Teardown and First Startups events at NSRCell. Without any further delay, I would like to invite Rishi, who is our mentor in residence, and he sold his director of product at Freshworks, sold his startup, which was incubated here at NSRCell to the Freshworks. So over to Rishi, and I'd like to invite Vijay Lakshman. And Vijay, thank you very much for coming all the way from Chennai.
Hi, I'm Rishi, and today we have Vijay Lakshman, who is actually the co-founder and chief evangelist of a very interesting company called Cloud City. which is based out of India, but today is global now. Hundreds of enterprise companies, all their roster, and 100+ employees. But before I start this conversation, I just wanted to give him a sense of the audience that we have today. I just wanted to get a sense of how many of you are in early stage startup that's going on for a couple of years, or are yet to start this business. Okay, early stage startups. That's largely the audience that I wanted to basically send the message to. How many of you are looking at enterprises or B2B? Okay, that's not. How many of you are doing something in consumer B2C? Okay, that's also good.
Consumers don't listen to me.
No, I think they'll find an answer there also. And how many of you have your startup technology as a core offering or an enabler? It need not be a technology startup, but I'm saying that you need it. Thank you. Thanks. Without much ado, I think I want to open up the floor, not the floor, but I have this conversation for about 20-25 minutes, and then give you the chance to ask Vijay the questions for maybe 5-6 minutes. Allow me to moderate some of the questions as well. Vijay, please go ahead.
Yeah.
Let them know what CloudCherry does, what's your role in CloudCherry.
Yeah. Good morning. Am I audible? Okay, great. Rishi is in a safe place. You can't go wrong with questions. So I want to dumb it down, right? So very little about me, but a little more about CloudCherry. I want to dumb it down to the point because I'm tired of giving those intellectual pitches to large enterprises. So I really want to dumb it down. This is my not mic, yeah. That's it. What?
This video.
About, can you hear me now? Yeah. About 18 odd years experience, 14, 15 years in startups, 3 of which were my own. The first one failed miserably. The second one failed gracefully. I think the third one we're doing fairly okay until now, right? That's about me. I like to be in the business side of it. I wanted to start as a technologist, but I couldn't code to save my life. So, but I liked taking technology to businesses and demonstrating value, fundamentally interacting with people, right? So that's what I enjoy doing. CloudCherry is about 4 years old, but before I actually tell you what CloudCherry does, so as I said, I want to dumb it down. How many of you have traveled, flown, let's say an Indigo aircraft? How many of you have flown Indigo? Great. So the moment you land, you get an SMS, right? How is your Indigo experience with a link and things like that. So when you click that link, you'll have about 3, 4, 5 questions, and you answer those questions, and that's called a feedback, right? Now, that's what we do, right? Indigo is also one of our clients, but it starts from there, but add more complexities to it. SMS is one channel, right? Add 17 channels to it, email, website, QR code, in-app, 17 channels. I don't think there's any other product under the sun that helps brands reach out their customers via 17 different channels, right? And then add further complexities to it. The moment you give a feedback, a lot of things happens in the background, depending on what kind of feedback you've given, whether you're happy or unhappy customers. A set of people inside the brand are alerted instantly, real time, and then they get in touch with you. There's a loop closure process, right? Add journeys to it. So that is one interaction that you have with the brand, but customer experience is a sum of parts, right? So add journeys to it. Put visualization on top of it. Add predictive analytics to it. This is fundamentally what we do, right? So essentially, we are a customer experience management platform that helps brands track, measure, improve, and deliver customer delight. Now, why do brands want to do it? Because in today's world, it's easier to retain a customer than acquire a new customer. Retention is the new marketing, right? And every brand almost has similar product or services. The real differentiator is the experience. As we call it, your experience is the product. Product is merely a souvenir, right? So we started in India. and I think we fairly did well in India, but then we moved to the US. Now we are US based, we are in the Salt Lake City with presence in Singapore, meaning I have a team in Singapore with customers globally. We are close to about 100 plus customers. So that's who we are, right? Everything else you can Google, you can get to our website and know more about it.
Cool, thank you. I had written a few questions and I shared with you. And when I was doing some research for CloudCherry, and now that you shared that you already did or tried two startups before you jumped into this, and there was a very interesting tidbit that they had. They wrote their first line of code in Jan 2014, and by March 2014, which was the same for the next 3 months, they had the first big customer. And this is very important for all of us who are trying our startups, how this happened. So you've done two startups. I don't know if the similar story played out in the previous two startups, but what was the lesson that we learned in those first 3 months? Or what happened that you managed to crack the first customer in the first 3 months?
Okay, yeah, we got lucky, right? My co-founder Nagendra, he's my chief technology architect. We always refer to him as India's best technologist whom nobody knows, right? I've seen him like 10 times in the last 4 years. He works like A.R. Rahman in the night, but he built kick-ass technology, right? In fact, we are a part of the Microsoft Accelerator winning batch. We've had a lot of awards and recognitions even before we had critical mass of customers, fundamentally because of the way the product was architected. I think gem of a product, great architecture, that really helped us in the initial days. So the previous startups weren't like this, right? I mean, here it's very important that the most important thing, if you're doing product, right, the most important thing in that company is the product itself, right? A lot of people go behind sales, but if you really focus on building a great product, I'm saying this because I've seen other startups who've got great sales teams fail, because at the end of the day, you've got to deliver on that promise, right? We had a great product. From an architecture standpoint, right? Completely scalable, and we could go and we could pitch to large enterprises with absolute pride. And in fact, some of the banks are my customers, not just in India, globally. We were the fastest to clear security and compliance. That's how the product was architected. So 90% of the credit to Nagendra, who built that kind of architecture.
But just to extend that question, including myself during our first startup, we are a little bit resistant even to step out and pitch.
Yeah.
We want that perfect product, all the features taken together. We still try to do the best architecture and best, but you went out in the first thing. So why would you go and risk it? I'm assuming you had great architecture, but was it complete in 3 months?
No, not complete. In fact, I was running sales for the first 2.5 years. So beyond a point, you become shameless. When you fail in the first 2 startups, you said, you know what, screw it, let's go. And this time you know that you've got a great product, right? So absolutely shameless. So we went and we pitched. I think you have a follow-on question to specifically talk about that, so I will cover it there. But the first year we were shameless. Till we got the customers, we were shameless, and we at the back of the mind we knew that we could deliver on it. We just needed an opportunity, right? So there was nothing to hesitate about. And personally, I have done this before. So I had nothing to lose.
So your thing is at least of the 2 startups that you did, and then you came to the third startup. Just go out and just be shameless, have something.
Yeah.
Pitch it.
Yeah.
Okay. So then coming out of the team, you came to 2015, and by then you already had 10 plus large customers. So what enabled that? You had a great product. You had one of the best technologies. But does 10 plus large enterprise customers should you have on the product?
Yeah.
A lot of hiring challenges that you can solve, financing things that you look at.
Oh, multiple problems, but I'll take one by one, right? The most important thing is how we won the first customer. I think that was one of your questions, right? So the first large enterprise customer that we had was Titan, right? So when we went and pitched to them, we just had the architecture in place. We didn't have any customers. We had like 3-4 customers, but small ones, right? Nothing to talk about, but we were absolutely proud of what we had. And we were building the product. We first sold it on a PPT, but the sale did not happen like, it's not that we walked in and we walked out. In enterprise, it takes about 4-5 months for the sale to happen, but we met great people, right? So here's what I believe in. There are 3 things that you need to succeed, right? Especially if you're running a startup. It's called, in Sanskrit, it's called, then I'll translate to English. It's called Prayatnam Kalam Daivam, right? Prayatnam is effort, right? You got to always give your 100% effort. Even if you give your 100% effort, you're still at 33% of the entire success quotient, right? Then there's Kalam, which is timing, right? You got to be there at the right time, which is not in your control. Like Flipkart could not have happened without the mobile revolution, right? So you need to time it right. You've always heard of companies that have great product but ahead of time or too late, right? Then Daivam, which is grace, which means those unknown hands that help you, right? Be it the investor, be it the customer, be it the team, be it your co-founders, right? So we were lucky. We met the retail head of Titan and his team. He's a great guy. When I went and did that pitch personally, showed him the PPT, spoke to him, very passionate about what we had, very proud about what we had. He gave us the opportunity. He need not have. Because remember this, when you're selling to large enterprises, it's really hard because nobody gets so. I heard this from my co-founder in his previous startup where he went and pitched for a large bank competing against Infosys. They were a startup as well, right? So the CTO made this comment saying, nobody gets fired for choosing Infosys. So if you go wrong when you choose a startup, heads will roll in large companies because the consequences are grave, right? So he gave us an opportunity. He said, okay, great. So how long will it take for you to start? We said, give us 2 weeks. He said, okay. We started, we demonstrated something. It took us about four odd months to pen down the contract because you had to go through the legal and all that stuff. But the point is, he also agreed to pay from the day we started, saying if this goes south, this is what I will pay you, right? He need not have done that. If you had told me you have to pay me to get this done, not like kickbacks, but literally, you will have to spend money to get this done, we would have done it, right? But great people. That's where there are certain things that happens for you. When that started happening, there was one thing that we did really, really well. We were doing really well, right? We never threw darts in the blizzard. We actually researched every company because we were going behind enterprises and we had only so many. Our market was India. We did an average of 6 to 8 hours of research before we actually reached out to a company. So we had 6 emails that we sent, basically we called it a hook, right? So if I'm writing a mail to you, I would know everything about you, right? So my mail will never be cloud cherry, customer experience, none of that. It would be something very relevant to you, like congratulating on your Freshworks sale, whatever, right? Something, the recent event, the first 2-3 lines would be about you, which will get you to open interest, and then talk about how my product will help solve your objectives or whatever, right? So we used to call that a hook. We used to have 3 hooks in every enterprise and a follow-on for each hook. So we did that kind of research and we opened doors. So we created that perception that these guys know what they're talking about, right? And when doors got opened, and because we had a very credible customer, to have Tata's as your customer, today we work with a lot of Tata groups, right? To have one of Tata's companies as your customers, a lot of credibility that comes along with it. And as I said, we could back it down with great technology and we were very fast to implement, less than 2 weeks, tops a month and things like that. We could give them easy wins. When I said 17 channels, you could start with 1 or 2 like in 15 days. And we did more of it. We kept doubling down on it, right? And that's how we could get to some 10 odd customers.
Very interesting. So your entire framework of hooks and researching and engagement got the prospects interest. But did you have, and you said that about 2 or 4 months for them to pen down the contract, and you were many years on the luckier side too. But if some of us were to try that and to see closing it in 4 months, 6 months, or even 8 months, are there milestones or are there ways to ensure that with what direction is this conversation heading? Is there a hint to this? Is it able to succeed? Or are there ways to put some checks and balances to see that it's sort of, or it's an endless spread that will keep on? Because that's one challenge that we face in B2B.
Yeah. I mean, today we can look back and say these are things that you have to do, but a lot of things have to be discovered, right? So you need to know what kind of product you're selling, who your end customer is, what kind of engagement is required, how critical it is. For example, if you're selling something, let's say to a bank that impacts core banking, your sales cycle will be a year, right? But to the same bank, something which is not going to really alter their life, your sales cycle could be 2 months, 3 months. So you need to you need to know who are all the decision makers. In our case, it's the marketing team, the branding team, the tech comes into play, tech team, of course, purchase, security, compliance, right? So we didn't know then, right? But then, as I said, the first 2-3 wins that you have, that's where you need to get lucky. Like some of sales cycles have been like 1 year, 2 months, 1 year, 3 months, and our shortest has been about around 2 months. So you need to get the shortest earlier, which is not completely in your control, but never give up, right? But important that you engage multiple people, right? But you need to have a champion, 1 or 2 champions. You need to create that champion. When you create that champion who like you at a personal level, so fundamentally, when you sell a product or a service from a startup, you got to sell you, right? You got to be likable, right? And when you develop that relationship, you've created a champion, right? And then through them, you start engaging multiple teams, and you will know in your gut whether this is going in the right direction or not. Today, we've got some data to say, okay, this moves to cold stage, this is going cold, right? This is hot, this is warm, and things like that. But that happens with data. But capture all of it, but you'll know in your gut.
So now that you cracked the first customer, what does it take to get the next 10 customers? Is it the same formula that worked, or is now 10x the problems, or 10x of luck that you need, or is now you put this method that matters that you can now start?
The first 20 odd customers, co-founders have to bring. You cannot outsource sales. You can outsource anything else. You cannot outsource sales, right? And being a co-founder, you're already shameless, right? So you've got to go brag. You've got to go talk about it, not be cocky about it. But the point is, you got to show that passion, right? So when you talk to people with passion, when you go tell people that this is what you've done, this is how you will change their life and things like that, people like listening to that, right? And I've not seen startups where co-founders are not involved in sales, successful startups, let me put it that way, right? I'm not too sure of the consumer side of it. That's why I gave a caveat saying don't listen to me, because I have no idea about that. But the point is, anything to do with enterprise, mid-market, first 20, 30, you can't go wrong with 30, right? First 30 co-founders have to bring.
So from 1 to 10 or first 20, 30, whether you fail, did you lose any?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
What did you learn from them and you apply it next year?
Okay, something that probably not many know, when we architected the product, we architected it for scale, right? But we really wanted to be in the do-it-yourself business, where we said, okay, this is great, let's go to small businesses. That's where we wanted to grow, and we've actually went to like 400, 500 odd businesses that we engaged an agency to help us with. There's an agency called Wings. They provide you with feet on street, so where you go to hotels, restaurants, spas, and all these people where, service-oriented businesses. And then we also had a DIY business, do-it-yourself business, where you sign up, like the Freshworks thing, right? So we tried all of that, we failed. The one thing that we're doing is we were continuing with the enterprise. So we really thought this is going to be a future and not that, because that's not sexy. It takes time, and you got to go through a whole process. This is like then Freshdesk was growing, and you had an inspiration, and there were other companies that are doing well. So we said, you know what, you can sit globally, acquire customers, but not every product is meant to be that.
So this is actually a very interesting question. So you said that you started with DIY, SMBs.
Also DIY and
Also.
yeah.
But was that what you said that that's what you were looking for?
So initially, if you'd asked me this 4 years ago, saying, where will you be in the next, we almost raised our money with the DIY story. Investors also almost committed the term sheet, right? So if you'd asked me 4 years ago, I would have said that we, like a Freshdesk, we'll be like 5,000 customers paying us $10 a month.
So that's important, because most of us start with A, end up with B. So there is a decision making, there is a painful journey, there is a lot of collaboration and stakeholder convincing that happens. Could you share 1 or 2 bits or 3 bits that happened there that internally you have got 4 owners?
Yeah, 4.
4, and you guys were decided on DIY. You architected it for scale. You convinced the investor into the DIY. And over here, you saw great traction in the enterprise. You saw the value in enterprise. So how did you convince the stakeholders in that switching? How did you even convince yourself? And no, this is not the right thing. Because many times we start with something. Even in my own case, I started with consumer at the end of it. So it's a whole different switch that I had. So it was a painful journey. So how do you do it?
So in trading, it's called stop loss, right? So basically, you need to, sometimes the hard thing for when you're doing a startup, you're absolutely so passionate about it that people say you don't give up. Sometimes you don't give up on the wrong ideas, right? Easier said than done, but you got to always look at the outcome, right? Enjoy the process, but look at the outcome. As far as DIY is concerned, we are not really looking at revenue initially, but we're looking at something called adoption. So do you have people signing up, right? Do you have them converting? Do you have them using the product? Or how much of friction? It has to be frictionless, right? And as one of my good friends say this, if you're in an unorganized market, you get value when you organize that market. When you're in an organized market, you get value when you specialize that market, right? So we were not sure where we were, right? And the product really had everything that an enterprise also needs, right? Very difficult to cull something out, and if you did cull something out, then you'll have to basically two different focuses for the organization. Then you're competing with survey monkeys of the world. Why will somebody use you when there is already a survey monkey which is also free, right? Then you got to add value to it. Then there is again friction. You got to tell them bring in other data sets. It was complex. It was getting very tiring, right? And enterprises were anyway happening, but at a snail's pace. It was happening, right? But then we had to take a step back and say, what, very, very hard to do. But we said we can only do one. We said screw it, and that was a gamble then. Because at that point in time, about 2.5 years ago, the B2B part, startups doing well on B2B hadn't really caught up, right? In a big way, right? But B2C, when I say B2C, it was not the consumer, that's small businesses, that's what I mean, the SMBs part of it. People still like that story because it was great market and people never believed that you could go sell in enterprises. But we took that gamble, we had no choice. Because we had some traction here, we could not let go of this. There we still had some traction, but it was too much of friction. Friction always gives you an indication saying, it can be hard, but you got to enjoy it. If it is stressful, then there's something wrong.
That's a very interesting takeaway. I mean, the two things we in general I heard is there is value from organized to organized.
That's no, I can't take the credit, somebody else said that.
But that's the gem that some of you share there. And the second thing you were saying is if it is stressful, sales stressful, why is that business challenge there? And if you're aware there is that friction.
So to sum it up in a sentence, it's basically if you go behind what's not yours, the consequent is stress, right? So that's it. So you can apply it everywhere, especially in startup.
And then I had one question, a little bit, I'll come to that, but I was saying to you, and then in a couple of years you landed in Salt Lake City. So what led to this expansion and what were the successes that you faced there, what were the challenges you faced there? Just give us a peek into the early days of US. I mean, you all know what you do.
Yeah.
You all see the latest with that, because the flight takeoff isn't easy. So what?
You want me to be honest or politically correct? Honest. Anybody from enterprises here? My potential customer? Okay, so you've not heard this. India really took us to where we wanted to be then, right? In fact, we had a lot of awards and recognitions. We were part of the Microsoft Accelerator winning batch, Intech 50, NASSCOM 50. Gave us a lot of confidence, right? We built a base. We've got great respect for this market. But there is one challenge when you sell to Indian enterprises. If you're a great product, the business team will love you. The IT team may not like you. The purchase team will be indifferent. They will, yeah, can you? Okay. So the business team will love you. The IT team may not like you, but the purchase team will be indifferent. You have a great product, they will say, you know what, Vijay, this is fantastic, but I don't have the budget. Okay, you have a Benz, but I need a Maruti 800 after 8 months, 9 months of engagement. You don't have a great product, let's say you have an average to good product, business team will anyways engage with you, IT team will engage with you, purchase will still be indifferent. It's very difficult to extract value out of this market, right? You will still be there, but it's very hard. Very few enterprises have matured to the stage where they give due credit and due value, especially to smaller companies, right? So we were growing, but we were not growing fast in terms of revenue, right? And then we said, if you want to be, let's say, a $100 million company, right? There's no way you can do it out of India, and you had to take a punt, which is the largest market, to the US, right? Very big gamble then, but then we said, you know what, let's do it. And we moved to the US and we set foot there and we started focusing on the international market. Until about 2 years ago, we had about 90% India business, 10% outside. Today, we have 20% India business, 80% outside.
So, what were the first month or the first 3 months challenges that you recognize how did you walk into some offices and pitch there? You're just moving from India. I'm assuming you have had some experience. Just for many of us, that may be the first experience that you have. What are the few things that you could pay attention to or learn?
First 6 months, we really made a lot of noise, and we started doing something called Dialogues on Delight. Because we were in the business of customer delight, Dialogues on Delight was not about CloudCherry. We started doing those events in India. We were known for it, where we said we bring people from large enterprises, people who are running customer experience, putting them on a panel, talking about delight, never about CloudCherry, no presentation about CloudCherry, where you can learn of each other, right? And we created that kind of a networking session. We were doing it once in a year, then we did it twice in a year. We did that in India, Singapore. So making a lot of noise. Our branding was very good, and our strength is demand gen, right? So again, using the hook and various other techniques, we started reaching out to enterprises. By then, we had credibility that we had built. Even if you went to the US, there were some businesses that you were running, like HDFC and various brands were using your product, and you had some credibility there, right? And then, of course, you had to hire a wide team and get them to sell, and a lot of grind. Beyond a point, it's no longer fun. When I say no longer fun, it's not that excitement. You know what works, and you keep doing it to the point where you get bored.
So,
and results come.
Much basically, why would somebody in the US, talent that you recruit, be sales or marketing work for you versus the company that is established there, or one more startup or startup that is planning for you to So, how did you solve that talent?
80% of people in large enterprises are bored. You go ask anybody, they will say, you know what, you guys are doing a startup, I wish I could do it, right? A lot of people don't get the, don't have the courage to actually do something on their own, but you basically sell the dream. Yeah, you sell the dream, you be honest about it, and you will have some great talent join you.
So, this now going back to the question that I had is, you try to do startups, and this one which is looks like it's fantastic.
It's going okay.
And then, if you would go back to 2014, now that you are 3 times forward, are there 2-3 things that you would repeat? Yes, I did this right, and I'll keep doing this for the next 5 startups. And these are the 3 things that I've learned that I will never repeat.
3 is very hard. I don't want to put a number on it, but I'll tell you the one thing that I will not do if I go back 2014 is I will not give my product for free. Enterprises, when you're selling B2B, we've done this mistake. We just wanted customers, but they're not customers. As Dr. Bala Balachandran says, they're customers. They give you problems. They're not really serious about it, right? So I won't give it free. Absolutely not, right? I would even intelligently structure the contract saying, you know what, you want to try it for 3 months, great. You don't have to pay me money now, but I want it on contract saying at the end of 3 months, if you choose not to go ahead, this is what you got to pay me, right? Structure something where the moment you put some value on it, people start becoming serious, and especially if you're doing B2B, again, consumers, businesses don't take my advice. B2B, you need to involve different teams when it involves money. Or you got to be somebody really high up there who've got a budget, who got the discretionary power, who've been in the company for a fair amount of time, right? And especially our product is not cheap in the sense. So you still need, you need at least 1 lakh a month for it to start off with, right? So I wouldn't give it free. So we, at one point in time, we had quite a lot of customers who even signed something but no value on it. No value on it. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months became 6 months, right? It started as a 1 month POC, but it became 6 months, and we were super engaged for the 6 months, right? And we had, every time you went there was a story, which was believable, and you came back, right? Until we decided that we will not give it free, and then everything started falling in place. So we started saying no, and serious people started looking at it, and the moment you respect and value your product or service, the world does. So that's something else. In India, it works. In India especially, you have to do it. Because outside, they value their time so much that they won't they won't care, right? At least I'm not talking about Middle East, I'm talking about the Singapore and those developed markets, US and all that stuff. But in India, absolutely important. I won't give it for free.
Now, you've been for a decade plus, and was your startup journey before Cloudflare was owned in Facebook?
Oh, we were in ERP on SaaS. It was a company called Valgen, and from there I had to pivot, and we were providing ERP on SaaS for SMB manufacturing. Toughest SMB and toughest is manufacturing, right? So.
Are there few things that us, if we were to try to do some, look at it, where is the opportunity in the entire enterprise or B2B segment? And sometimes some things look tempting. Where are the few things that land where you don't even go to those markets? Is there one or two things which don't try? Is there a business or is there a way of opportunity?
Dude, very hard to get it right? I don't want to be cocky and say, do this, do that. Very honestly, I don't know the answer. The thing is, if you see a gap, if you can do something better, faster, or better, cheaper, all the more better, faster, cheaper, right? Go ahead. And you got to have a fairly sizable market, because it's hard for you to, get to some portion of the market. But very honestly, I don't have an answer. Thing is, look at something, and if you see that it's not being done elegantly, you can do it better, faster, better, cheaper, faster, cheaper, whatever. Just go ahead and do it.
I want to ask you two quick questions so that our folks here can take this. Now again, you spend so much time in B2B. Do you see one or two great opportunities that you wish you had gone? Or if you do a next startup, not asking you to give away the next $1 billion idea, but if there is one or two takeaways that are
ideas are cheap. I've got some 3-4 ideas out there. Execution is everything. Yeah, I've been dabbling with a few ideas. I mean, it's always there, right? You after a point you become a hopeless romantic, right? So that's there. Ideas are there. I may not again do B2B. I would rather do B2C or something where you don't have to go physically meet. And I think beyond a point, you also need that energy and that passion to do more of it. You got to stay away.
Specific pain point which are most to look at, any generic abstract pain point that people are not solving this or thinking you will be having the things that you
Okay, don't go behind something which looks great today. Like everybody says, I'm going to do something in AI. Don't go behind that. That's a big mistake that I've seen people do. Go behind things where nobody wants to touch.
Old and moving forward is good.
Yeah, I mean, go behind something which is something that you can't brag about, but dumb it down. So if you can't explain it to a 6-year-old, then it's very hard for you to sell it out there. So I used to use my son, who's now 7, he was then 4. I had to explain what I was doing, and he used to get bored after 30 seconds. Then I again tried and dumb it down, right? So always look at dumbing it down, simplifying it, but your delivery should not be simple. I'm not saying make it complicated, but I'm saying it has to have so many things to it that it should not be easy to replicate. So that's where our architecture, scale, a lot of things came into play. But the core offering has to be, fundamentally it has to make a difference.
You did talk about the family, so I want to end that last question with that. Most of them are going to the first 10 journeys. Is there any one tip or two tips that you could share which would help them navigate through getting families support, or what are the work-life balance, if there is any in this journey?
There's no work-life balance. There is no life, right? So it's at least a 7 to 8 years of commitment. The first 3-4 years, you have to do everything, and then at least you have the luxury of team. I've literally been out 20-22 days in a month. Thanks for being in Chennai. We have only one customer in Chennai. So all my work is outside, even when we're doing in India, right? So it's hard, right? To a point where my kids, I have a son and a daughter, and I used to tell my wife that, I don't know, I'm not sure one day if I knock the door, they'll open the door and say, uncle, right? As long as they don't call the neighbor dad, I'm perfectly okay, right? So it was that bad. So they stop missing you, right? And those are hard things, but I think everybody goes through that, man. It's not a big, even in large enterprises, I see people getting stressed out, working till 11, 12 o'clock, but it's a 7-year-old commitment, minimum, right? It will take 3 to 4 years for you to figure out whether this will work or not. Trust me, 3 to 4 years. before you actually know with data whether this is going to work or not. Forget the gut and all that. Gut helps you do it, right? And another 2-3 years for you to create some mark. So at 7 years before you can actually rest back a little, because by then if you have survived, you've got some funds, forget the investors, you've got some revenues where you can hire great talent, right? And then you can start thinking about some life. But if you're not stupid, you can't do a startup. Trust me on this. You go.
I'm done with my questions. I'm going to let the audience to have 2 questions.
Yeah, maximum two
Two
questions.
questions. I would request you make it as specific as possible. And yes, there are 2 hands there. And just spell your name, just one liner on what you're doing, and be specific on the question.
My name is Srinivas. I just started 3 months back. It's called Tobilaker.
Sorry?
Tobilaker.
Okay.
Now my question is in enterprise or B2B. Most of the customers will have their own app or application. When we go with our application, they will tell why I should use your app. Can you integrate with my application?
Yeah.
For you also, for taking the survey, they may be telling you use their application or their platform.
Yeah.
How do you face this?
We never gave up. We always integrated because we removed all friction. It's very impossible to bring about change. Change is something very hard. So never look at an idea or a product or a service that needs people to change, right? So always integrate.
Hi, my name is Rajesh. I'm the founder of Scoping.com, a training marketplace for an online training marketplace. My question is, sir, that see, you point out a very, very relevant point to begin with, telling that see, the technology or the product is the key. Once you have that, then you can build around the sales and other things. Some 2 years back, the story was in a completely different manner. Everyone used to say, everyone has got a great product, but if you don't know how to sell it, you will never be able to make it. Yeah, it's a question pertaining to that. Now my question is, most of the entrepreneurs out here might not be from technology background, and they definitely will have a shortage of technology support, and they might not be competent enough to acquire a co-founder in the technology space as well. So what are the options out there if they don't have a person to work with? Getting a co-founder is not that simple task, right? It takes time. It has a timing. So in that space, you should not miss out your venture. So how do you compensate with some other options? How do you stack that technology?
Tough, man. See, if you can't, if you're fundamentally, forget offering technology. Let's take Swiggy as an example, right? Or any other company. Though they're not offering technology, it's tech at the core of it, right? They're fundamentally a tech company, right? And being a tech company, if you don't have a tech co-founder, chance of you succeeding is only by chance, right? When I say that, I'm not trying to be diffident here. It's important that if you can't convince one person, right, on your dream and get them on board and ensure that they have enough skin in the game in terms of equity or whatever, right? It's very hard because it's very hard for you to deal. You will have issues, even if you have a great product. Very hard to deal with issues when you don't understand it really well, right? So you definitely need a tech co-founder. The biggest difference from my previous startups to this was having a tech co-founder. The other two, the first one failed miserably, second one gracefully. Second sales was great. It was great, right? We had different, it didn't fail because of technology, but again, we didn't have the best out there, right? When you somewhere don't have the best out there, when you go and pitch, right, be it an SMB or a small enterprise or whatever, you know at the back of the mind that, you know, somebody can come and eat you for breakfast. Very honestly. You know that, right? So if you're offering the core is tech, you got to have a tech co-founder. If you don't have one, I highly recommend you to. All it takes is just go to Naukri.com, look at Google, look at those large enterprises, right? Make calls to people, random calls, be shameless. The first year of a startup, you've got to be absolutely shameless. Make those calls, meet people, and I have a very good friend of mine, very, very successful, right? He's really gone from being at 3-4 crores debt to now being 1,000 plus crores in terms of his net worth, right? In a span of 10-12 years, I don't want to reveal his name. He says that it's extremely important for you to be shameless. Extremely important for you to be shameless and go for it, right? Just go for it first year. But do not have a tech company without a tech co-founder. That's my humble advice, right? There may be successful startups, I'm not sure about it, right? But I don't want to take the chance.
So with that note, thank you very much. Please join us for the panel. Guys, big round of applause. So we have we selected 3 startups. Thanks to Rishi for the shortlist and helping us with the shortlist. Actually, we have 4 panels. Actually, the panel members actually. Himanshu, can you please raise your hands and let people know? Himanshu runs this interesting UI UX studio in Delhi. He's a UI UX expert. Okay, so he will be giving inputs from the UI UX angle. Okay, we have the best, what do you say, the product hunter and community specialist, Kevin William David. Okay, I don't know how many of you know Product Hunt. Okay, so if you don't know Product Hunt, please go and check. Okay, that's and obviously you already got introduced. With that note, actually, we are going to have 3 startups which is we selected. We have a Healthy Life, which is actually just getting their thing right into the sales and everything growth. So they have something already going, but on the product side they're just getting act right. Then we have the Verb Studio. Okay, the Verb Studio, one is here, the fantastic. And we have the co-jewelers. Okay, so these are the people. So what the format is very simple. Actually, we are going to have a 30 minutes for each person, and after the Healthy Life, we will have a break for the tea coffee networking, and we will assemble. And 30 minutes for 6 minutes, actually, the founders will also inform what they are doing to you. It's not their business plan pitch, they're just their idea what is their market and everything. Okay. Then each of the panels will give their inputs. Okay. So if we have towards the end, if we have a time, you can ask the panel for various other questions so that you can take the inputs for your startups. With that note, actually, I'd like to invite Dilip from the Healthy Life. Just
So I got a brief presentation which I will just run you through just to get you updated on our journey. Okay, so I'm one of the co-founders and I have my colleagues here, Rupa and Suja. Okay, so this is like just to set the stage of on what we're doing. Okay, we identify ourselves as being in the clinical information technology domain. Okay. So it's a technology company, but very focused on clinical information. And we were established in 2016. That's 2 years now, 24 months journey. So there's a context of of what we are doing. Okay. So there's an evolving regulatory environment, regulatory and compliance environment in healthcare. Okay. A lot of people are not aware because these are not in public domain. Okay. But there's a big revolution that is happening. Okay, from a regulatory and compliance perspective in healthcare, and I think in the next 4-5 years you'll start seeing more impacts of that. So we're working in that environment. That's where we come from. What we have, what we have done in the last 24 months, we built a person-centric electronic health record platform. Okay. So whatever I say here, again, there's a lot of detail which may not be evident. I'm just putting it to say that there is the level of complexity in the area that we are working. Okay, and a lot of these we in the platform we built a lot of forward-looking attributes. Why I say forward-looking is because the market at this point doesn't demand a lot of it. Okay, but in the coming environment, we feel that a lot of this will be a differentiator for us. Okay, as we go forward, we use some very important tools. Again, these are not technology tools in the classical sense. These are again very domain specific tools. So people in the domain will probably be able to understand this. Okay, I don't want to get into detail, just to set a and then we thought, how do we go to the market with? Okay, so here we built this great platform technology and all that. and how do you take it to the market so that the market can actually start using it. So we actually came out with when looking around, and then found our first actually a friendly customer, okay, in the Ayurveda yoga sector, and we realized, okay, that's a upcoming area in healthcare where technology adoption is very weak, okay, and the awareness of what's coming up is, but at the same evolving. So we built an EHR for Ayurveda, yoga, and naturopathy. Okay, this is our market. Okay, so here, and we are actually, the product is not a very hospital kind of environment, though it is electronic health record. We've assimilated elements of hospitality and healthcare into this element, and focused very narrowly on the wellness tourism provider sector. Okay, so this is a sector which is actually in a transition mode. They've been traditionally a hospitality market, but they are rapidly transitioning into a healthcare, okay, paradigm. So they all look for things like, okay, okay. So this is what we've done, okay, and this is the kind of market share that we are looking at. Okay, it's a growing market, and even if we have some conservative estimates to say that, okay, we feel that there is a reasonable market that we can address here, even if it is a very narrow niche market. Okay, and we've done some exploration in the last 6 to 8 months. Okay, from getting our first friendly customer, now number 17. We are actually expecting them to turn revenue in August. We're working on the last legs of it. We've been out in the field actually doing a lot of demos and pitches too. We've done around 10 plus around Bangalore, and 30 plus around in Trivandrum. Okay, and we've seen South India is the market where this is happening, and we have some learnings. It's a virgin market. Okay, the peripheral players who are either in the hospitality or in the hospital information management sector. But we didn't actually come across any player which is actually doing what we're trying to do. There is definitely a perceived need for documentation, okay, because of the transition they're doing from a hospitality to a clinical kind of environment. And there's a growing business, and the mood is upbeat, okay. So we feel we are in the right place, but we also found a lot of challenges, okay, serious challenges, because okay, so very limited success with technology-based targeting, okay, and requires one-to-one meetings, okay, generally located in far-flung areas. So, and there's a lot of education required, okay. So this is where we stand. Now, briefly looking at the product. Okay. So we have, the app is also a web app. Okay. So this is our current website. Okay, where we are trying to put some messages to the prospect customers. Okay. So we've actually started a blog, okay, to actually to build up some knowledge. Okay, so this is where, yeah. So this is where we stand. Okay, any inputs to help us move forward with the market reach? So we take the inputs from the panel, then we take. Yeah.
So first question, I mean, after looking at the website, the first question that came to my mind was, what is that one thing that you want me to take away from the website? So when I'm coming on the website, what is that one message that I should remember? So any thoughts on that?
Yeah, we're saying, okay, we have a product which can actually, okay, help you with your information management documentation. Yeah, so yeah, so that kind of sums up. Okay, so it's a clinical information management primarily solution for this particular sector of business.
Okay, from a human standpoint, it's too long a message for anyone to recall.
Okay.
I'll have to copy paste it wherever required.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm surely not going to remember it all.
We also have another baseline that we actually do. I don't know, maybe that is, it's called wellness delivered, documented, validated.
Yes, that is way below the website,
Okay.
right? And that is far more easy for me to remember or recall, and that actually tells a higher level understanding of what you're trying to do. This is very specific of what you're trying to do. And what we remember mostly from a brand standpoint is what is the higher level people are trying to do, right?
Okay.
So what is Apple trying to do? Apple is not trying to make a very revolutionary cloud-based something mobile phone, right?
Okay.
It's just trying to make the most advanced mobile phone
Okay.
perceivably advanced mobile phone. Or they're just trying to do cool digital stuff. That cool digital stuff is something that we all can understand, decipher, and remember,
Okay.
which is what you have way below in the website. This is hard.
Okay.
This is something that should go probably in the explanation from where
Okay.
I see.
Okay. Thanks.
Second thing is the first fold. This is what you see right now is what we call the first fold. Okay. What you're seeing right now is called the first fold of any website. There's one challenge there in terms of consistency. So what is the website I've come to?
Healthy life.
Okay. And what does your CTA, call to action, say?
Ayush HR.
Exactly. I'm confused. I have no idea how's healthy life connected to whatever Ayush HR means.
Okay.
Okay. And you've kind of lost the guy there.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Because I have not had the time to introduce what. Okay. Yeah.
So
Okay. I get it.
you won't be there. You won't be there when the website opens.
Okay.
So this is difficult for me to understand. Okay. I might not be the main guy who knows all these technologies and these kind of stuff.
Right.
Okay. So the pitch kind of goes over my head. And second, I'm confused because I've come on Healthy Life versus the CTA there saying Ayush HR.
Okay.
Okay. Now the second thing that comes to these kind of websites is, do you really want to have a CTA which says no more, or do you want to capture something? So no more is making them read further.
Yeah.
Right? And capturing something is so that you can get back to them. Do you want more leads? So what is your top intention of the website is what you need to understand.
Okay.
Is it just to tell people what you're doing? Then yeah, no more makes sense. But if it is to get more leads or generate leads or get callbacks, then that CTA needs to change. Right?
Okay.
And this is just the first fold. That's how I will want to start. We can go on. Oh, okay. So then we can go. Okay, sure. This is your second fold.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
Says letters empower you. Right? Letters empower you is a great line, but when I start reading below that, there's nothing to buy, set up, or manage, log in, get going, and pay only what you use. Again, too long.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
People don't like reading. And if you've noticed, I haven't commented on colors or fonts used or anything like that. I'm just trying to focus on what people will read because it's a readable website, it's not a visual website as such. Right? But there's too much to read. And there's a lot of repetition that has happened in terms of text. So for example, the first line says let us empower you, and in resorts, it starts with we empower your team.
Okay.
Right? So we need to choose our words very carefully. Again, there's a lot to read here overall. And you've used a lot of caps wherever possible. So your main line, which is in a bigger font, is anyway caps. Right? Caps typically tend to psychologically seem like they're shouting. You want to use your caps, you can. This is good enough. Like resorts, clinics, hospitals can be caps. But does your main line need to be caps, especially when it's bold and a bigger font and so on? I'm not too sure.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. Actually, quite insightful. Okay. Good. Yeah.
Okay. Now let me come back to colors.
Yeah.
Okay. So from here on, I'm trying to understand what your key color is, what your brand color is. Okay. When I look at Healthy Life, it's somewhere close to bluish, hospital greenish.
Yeah. Right.
but it's not used anywhere on the website beyond this, right? Your CTA is something which is reddish. Then there are different kinds of colors used here, right? This is where it's sort of similar to what you have there, but the tonality is very different. And then you have green CTA on a green background.
Okay.
Tonality is the brightness or saturation of a certain color. If you look at the healthy green versus this green used,
Okay.
there is different hue brightness to it, right? Which is okay, right? But having a green CT on a green background, that's almost the same.
Okay.
Okay. Let us know if we can tell you more. Yes, contact me. I think you're like almost wasting a section. You could have had a form here and asked people what they really want them to input. Okay. Now, what will happen when you do yes, contact me?
Again, another.
Exactly. So why am I wasting this one step? This yes, contact me could have just been submit the information where I've added stuff. Or if yes, contact me is supposed to just be an email contact where I click this and email opens up where I can type my email, then yeah, makes sense. But do you want to dedicate a full section, a full fold to just this? I'm not too sure. Right? Again, what is your top attention from the website? This is where you're actually saying wellness delivered, documented, and validated.
Right.
I wish this was the first thing I was getting to know. Because this tells me quite a lot about your product and what you're trying to do. Okay? What you've done interestingly here is also created another things on the side saying modern technology to deliver traditional healthcare. So now what you've done is 3 different ways in which you are telling me the same product. Okay. I don't know which one makes more sense to the product or which one makes more sense to the your audience. But now I have 3 different lines to document what you do.
Okay, so I think it seems you have spent a lot of time on this website, but so we can take inputs based on the other panels inputs. If still time is there, we'll come back to it.
I was about to say
No. So I thought you have 1 or 2 points, but
I love talking.
but it appears that you have spent a lot of time on this website and everything. Thank you. Okay, so we'll come back to you again. Okay, we'll take it. So please, Dilip, take it out in case of the time constraint. Please take it offline.
So we didn't see a product demo, so I don't have much to comment on that.
Okay.
But I have a couple of points to add to what he said. He gave, so his point regarding, so the one thing that I realized, if you don't hook your customer the first 10 seconds of them hitting your website and they get lost, and they probably don't get it. So his point of having that wellness, this is where you actually explain what you're doing better.
Okay.
So the other 3 things is where it's lost. And I'm assuming what you're building is a SaaS product, right?
Right.
So the best way to hook a customer is by showing a demo of the product and having a product screenshot, and I don't see it right here. I'm assuming you might have it on the product section. Do you have it?
You mean the screen?
Yeah, it's like what's it like? That's an even better sell than all these text, because nobody has the time unless they're convinced and want to spend the time. So you can hook a customer by let's say a product video. Demo of the product, or better yet is a good screenshot and then describe what the product does.
Okay.
So let's say you start with this and right below, instead of saying that, learn more about the product. When they click on it, they come to the second fold where there's probably a product screenshot.
Okay. Or a video, that we can play.
Yeah.
Okay.
Something like that. Might say that. So I have one question, right? So so you're saying you cater to the your current market is Ayurveda experts. What do they currently use right now, and how are you replacing?
Yeah, so like I said, so they've 2 different product segments currently catered to them. One is like some of them are more leaning towards hospitality, where a hotel management or a facility management system is what is being used. Okay, but primarily for billing and the internal operation management. We don't fully take away all of that. Okay, there's other sector where hospital information system. Some people have used hospital information system. Okay. They all have some kind of a billing mechanism. So they basically they're trying to cater to the billing part. So from an clinical information management, it's a very like there's no other product which is actually that we could actually find. Okay, I'm not saying okay there's no other product, but it's very limited. Okay.
So if you're doing that, right? So one thing that I would suggest is talk about that. How are you making their lives better from what they're currently using? I haven't checked out the website just seeing it.
Okay.
From what I understand, you don't do that. Right? So
Yeah.
probably sell what's the old and what's the new. How are you replacing the old with what you're building? Because you're saying modern technology to deliver traditional healthcare. What are you doing for that traditional way of the how do you work that? That's something else.
Okay. Thank you.
How much of time do I have? 5 minutes. So one disclosure, I purposely want to bring fresh eyes. So I have not seen any of your websites. I've not done research. So we value that a lot at Fortune. So somebody comes for an interview, somebody joins first speak as fresh eyes. Criticize, just look at it from, because once you're into it, then you're a part of the crime. Right? You don't try to protect it. So I'm not an expert on the website and all that stuff. So great feedback. Two things that really scared me. One is friendly customer, which will start earning revenue from August 2018. We've done that shit. Really no friendly customers. And you've been engaging with them for 5-6 months, right? Yeah. I wish I didn't do that when I was in the initial stages, right? No such thing as friendly customers. It's either a friend or a customer. So you've got to decide what that is. Get them to pay. Right? The second thing is, you said one of the challenges you had was to training or educating, right?
Right.
That's the job of the government. Educating, no startup has ever created anything where they've educated the market and then created a market, right? So fundamentally, one of the things I also hear is you've not come across something else, some other product. So see if there's really a pain point, right? I do not know much about your business, but the point is change. I already addressed that, right? Very difficult for you to bring about change, very difficult for you to educate. My previous startup started doing really well but failed because people are not willing to pay. I had 125 customers, clusters of manufacturing as my customers, but they were just not paying on time. And you're always on shaky wicket because if you pulled a plug out, so I mean they could still go on. It was nice to have but not a must have, right? So think through that piece, right? What if wellness is not delivered and documented and validated? Does it make any difference to them? If it is done, it makes their life better. That's okay. But if it is not done, will anybody lose their job? So think about your business really hard. Take a step back, right? Once you get all that in place, go out there, sell, because I'm understanding you want to meet people, sell, do all of that, make some money or get some traction, pay an expert like Himanshu and get the website. Because we may not be in a position to get all this done, right? So if one of your co-founders have got that, then it's okay. Otherwise, this is something that you can outsource. Yeah.
Okay.
But most important, sell. I mean, you've got to walk out of this event and start selling. And say, you know what, in 90 days, I got to sell to at least 3 customers who will pay me. What that amount is money is, I don't know, but it has to be fair value for your product. It could be 10,000 rupees a month.
Yep.
But sell to 3 customers. If you can't do that, then
Okay.
pivot.
Okay. Thank you.
My point was also again on the slide deck. We found out how you showed up in this particular pitch today, and I taking Vijay's comment on hashtag be shameless, and I like that how you got into this. Basically, we had some 100 applicants, and we had to pick 3. And I picked some numbers, and something popped about them, and we picked up, and we figured out that wasn't true. But that's fine. That's fine. But I think you lost that opportunity when you pitched the presentation. I think you could have made the presentation wow in the first slide itself. That is, here's what we're doing, here's what the current problem is, and here's what we're solving. That there are government opportunities, there are those opportunities. You can always talk about it as we go. But I think the first 2 slides of your presentation could have been wow. That you have a team out there could come here and they could all be together, because if they're all co-founding team, usually it's a great thing to have co-founding team. Even in his presentation, in his first answer itself, he started attributing the strength to his technology co-founder, then to himself. So I think it's very important that you come out as a team. So my thing was, you had one opportunity on the presentation, you somehow got in this tier down, and you could have won. That's my only thing. I'm just saying that could that pattern be repeated going forward? Any one opportunity that you get, can you just go use it and just wow it? Looks like an interesting idea, and that's why we got you here. So just leverage them. Thanks.
Thank you.
Do you have, Himanshu, do you have any further you want to continue? Yeah. Okay. We have 3 minutes before we go on to the break. So, anybody have?
Your product is very interesting. Quick thing. Maybe if you look at your product, right, you try to sell to the doctors and to people, but actually incentive drives behavior. If you look at EHR as a market, the market of EHR is now probably in hospital management system in large hospitals is ruled by GE, Wipro, and so on and so forth, and you have really picked a niche market. But if you need to sell to this market, you need to have either pharma company behind you or get Ayurvedic companies behind you. Ask them to promote your product and sell your product. There's a different way to approach the market. Maybe nobody looks at your website. That's true for any EHR. No, Wipro EHR is not even on their website. It's totally hidden. GEHR, the website is totally hidden. Nobody has ever seen those websites. But if you really want to sell this, it is getting those pharma companies behind you. Go chase them, target them, get them to back you, and see how you are able to incentivize sales. That will drive your product adoption. That's how all pharma works predominantly. Maybe you should take a look at that.
Okay.
Nothing to say about the product as such because I don't know the product. But regarding the delivery, what I could feel is what exactly is the product is not clear. Second, what problem are you trying to solve? It's not clear. Third, what solution are you exactly bringing? That one-liner solution, which hits everyone. That's not clear. And you're not talking about the competition around for who you are trying to replace, or are you trying to create a niche in the market? That's not clear. And finally, what is your vision about this product? That was also not clear. Not a critical thing, but just
Thank you.
Thanks.
Last question, Deepak.
Hi, I am Pawan.
Everyone.
Seeing at your website, I found some of the good things, and seeing at the marketing perspective, I feel that a good point to add is CSR activity.
Okay.
So if you can able to promote your product with an CSR activity, CSR incentive, so that will be a good start, like education for life, or as any pharma best. I am a marketing guy, so my way of thinking is in terms of the marketing. So that is my good point to add to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think actually we will take a break. So I will take a break for 30 minutes. Please go and network. And I think when I introduced Kevin, I have to introduce properly. He's one of the world #1 product hunter. So if you are looking for a good product review, he's the best person. Okay. So please go and network. So please back here at 12:15. We will sorry 12 o'clock. Okay, so or even much before that. So we'll start again at 12. Okay, so we'll start with the Verb Studio presentation.
So we are into fine jewelry, silver jewelry, and this is a e-commerce website. A little bit of background about jewelry. Recently, the jewelry sector has been in the news. India has the biggest market for fine jewelry in the world. We are the largest consumers of gold and silver. But there's no one brand, single brand that sells branded silver jewelry in India. So we are aiming at tapping that market. And our USP is fine handcrafted jewelry. We have 2 manufacturing facilities. And our strengths are that right now we started about 5 years ago. So right now we are one of the top 10 jewelry websites in India with over 5,000 designs, and we have a visitor listing of about 30,000, average visitor rate of about 30,000 per month. So yes,
Yes. We aim to, I can just take you across the website. We have a lot of traditional designs which are handcrafted in silver. These are actually originally gold designs which we replicate in silver. Our USP is temple jewelry from South India. We also cover all sorts of jewelry produced in India, everywhere. We are also trying to bring in a whole lot of background to it through our blog. Yeah, we also explain a lot of things about how handcrafted jewelry is made. It's still a work in progress, but we are doing a lot of work. Yeah, so basically this is it. And I would be interested in the feedback.
You said 5 years, right?
5 years.
Some sense of the business, like are you present in retail stores? If you don't want to share the numbers, that's fine. But in terms of number of customers, growth rate.
Actually, we got into manufacturing and then into online retail. So this online retail is just 5 years old. But then we are into physical retail for about 8 years. We have 8 physical stores.
This is an extension of your online.
It is, yeah, it is. But then what we are envisaging is we want an omni-channel retail model. Initially, it was just physical retail, but then now we are getting to something like I don't know if you are familiar with CaratLane. Yeah, so they are they have this thing where you can actually go to the experience stores and then you can try out the jewelry and then buy the jewelry online. So it's an omni-channel retail kind of thing. The same model we are working on. We are going to leverage our existing 8 stores, but then we are also planning to open more experience stores.
So basically, if I understood this right, I go on your website,
yes.
I look at the jewelry, I either come to your experience store or I buy here, I pay you here, and get delivered. Or do you bring jewelry to my house for me to try and then CaratLane does it?
Because CaratLane is already a higher margin kind of a thing. This is fine jewelry, but still we are silver. We are not gold. Our average order value is not as high as diamonds. Yeah, we are in gold and diamonds, so it starts at about $1.
So where do you need help on?
Our major challenges right now, you would say first thing is we need finance to scale up.
So that clearly we said you will not get any inputs on the finance.
Yeah, how to increase the conversion rate on our
What's your conversion rate?
It's below 1%. It's about between 5%, 0.5% to below 1%.
Okay, and how much of time does an average user spend?
Oh, a lot of time.
Wow.
I think he also.
What is a lot of time? For me, actually 2 minutes on my website.
7 minutes to 10 minutes is the average time.
So, but when you say conversion, you mean conversion on the website, right?
On the website.
Yeah, but this could also be a discovery platform. See, for me to walk into your, like, I'm impressed with the website. I don't know if you have the expertise at the table. I like it, right? As a website, as a user, I like it. That one is nice, right? So you sold me the idea, and I'm still not comfortable buying the jewelry online, right? So I would actually want to feel the jewelry or wear it on myself or my.
It works very well for us in Bangalore because we have our experience stores in Bangalore and we have few other cities across Karnataka and even Goa. But then that's the whole issue. We don't have experience stores everywhere else.
So then focus only on these markets.
Only on.
Yeah. Again, if I were to give a stab at it, I'll focus on these markets. One thing I will add is for people to have an option to call the jewelry, right? I know you said you don't have margin, but I'm willing to pay 1,000 rupees additional. And I'm sure you can fulfill that with $1,000. Take a number like 500, $1,000. All you need is somebody to take the jewelry, go there, they want to try out 3-4 models. So basically, you bring the store to your house. If that works, then you're actually your scale is. I may not get any store experience, but what matters is I want to know if my wife will like the bag. I mean, nobody buys a bag or waiting for a wedding. Right? discovered the song, right? And if you're willing to pay the price, charge me. Come to my school or pay me. That's fine. It's good. As a user, I will pay. If I see this, I would say I'm willing to pay an extra $1. If I don't buy, I don't have to pay. Which means something is wrong. Flipkart or Myntra does that now. You don't have to do all returns. Because they've got double their products. You got to like the design. These are your designs, they are nice. They are great. Take you've got the experience, try it and focus on your markets, right? Experience schools, build word of mouth, build credibility. 20 years, I never heard you say 20 years. So that's why sharing is very very important. Don't do that the investor because then they will expect to pay $100 million. Investors will pay it up. But if you say you're only 2 years on my word, what you say, that's all research.
How much is? You said the average. What's the average price point?
Average, we have items that start from about 670 rupees also. Okay. But then I think like decent size thing is about 1,000.
Most of these are like designed by your own. But you work with designers as well, you designers.
No, 50% of the jewelry that is there at present is produced in our own manufacturing facilities. 50% is also sourced and curated from all the various types of silver jewelry. So there are different varieties.
Production is different from the design. So designing is done at your.
No, most of our designs are traditional. I won't say there's a single designer, but we are not able to design a silver jewelry. Because most of these traditions, you see, temple jewelry, this is like a 400-year-old design pattern. So there's no designer for that. So yeah, we do have in-house designers, non-manufacturing customers. But it's not exclusively like these pieces designing around us.
So, ideally, who do you think is your customer? The audience size, right? The age group.
Yeah, the age group, actually, I mean, whatever we are selling to right now, this is about 40 up to 50. Between 30 to 50.
I think that's one of the reasons they have a good number of people spending time on their website, but I think that crowd would prefer to use it personally.
That's why the conversion rate may not be accurate. People may discover.
I think the audience size each man's me was about 30, but preferably prefer to buy it physically and see it. Like the other one will probably buy it online and then try it and probably return it. Because we used to have Flipkart and marble unless they feel it. So I like this one, I think, start with Bangalore. For me, for example, when I last broke, when I recently moved to Bangalore, Lenskart made a lot of sense. I just called this guy and he bought like 100 specs. I tried which one I liked. I had the experience and it was actually free. I didn't have to pay for it. But I think that might work well for a business like that you're in. I think that's a great suggestion. That's something that you should start off with in Bangalore because you already have it. You already have people
who can start in Bangalore.
Yeah. Right. So that's a great suggestion for you to tell you, especially with the audience that is coming to you. I think that's why you're not converting much.
You're thinking in terms of opening more experience stores across Bangalore, but I think this would be
that's a lot of investment. This is much like getting a sales guy to go there.
Yeah.
Have sales girls. Because people are comfortable.
Right.
Yeah, the logistics of it also.
Logistics and 80% is women who probably order from my guess, right? So major. So have sales girls. Works.
Maybe you could also have the option of them picking the brand. Let's say that's amazing. Right? All the jolly design for that. They can pick that, right? And then they can choose what they want to see at their home from the website, and that could be the way that you do it. If you look at Lenskart, right? I can't say what I want. They bring me like 100 specs, and it's like oval, rectangle, and that's right. But you don't see the entire variety. So I kind of lost. I didn't get the exact one I wanted, so I actually went to a nearby store and ended up buying. There was a lot of options on the table, right? I would have preferred if I could choose like 10 or 20. Like that, preferably, right? So in Jollibee, that makes a lot of sense. It's even more.
So So you send out from the entire collection.
So I could choose this is the collection that I like. Let me send this across to my home. That makes a lot of sense to generate.
So I wish someone was reading books from your side while these two were talking, because it made a lot of sense, not just from an expert point of view, but also from an audience point of view who's coming to your website. These are valid questions. Okay, like look at the question he asked you. What is your typical ticket size? How much is the jewelry for? You still don't know, right? So that's a down. Right? Then this honestly doesn't look like a typical e-commerce website, and that is the problem. So he loves the website, but then he loves the website because it's probably an informative website or a website for your showroom, and this will work. It doesn't look like an e-commerce website. So what I want to do is, you're saying Carrot Lane, so let's open Carrot Lane, and we will know what the difference is, right? Is everyone able to see the difference? Or is it just me? So every image has a call to action. There are numbers placed everywhere. Then you see those prominent three things there, right? Search, notification, cart. It's there on your website as well, but the way it's positioned. Then on top you have login, sign up and all that, and see what just happened. So these are bits to get you in. Just having that login, sign up on top and wishlist on top tells me that this is something I can buy from, because that's my conditioning as a buyer, right? In your website, this is missing, this is missing, these things are missing, these things are not visible on your website. Now let's go back. And we are just at the header. We haven't even gone to the first page. Right? There is no secret on the whole thing. Again, your website is suffering from the same problem. Look at your logo not visible right now. Right? It's a black overlay that is required. Overlay. There is cart, there is search, there is login. But can you guys see it from the first floor? Right? You can't. And that is why it looks like a jewelry showroom's website and not an e-commerce website. That is the first level of problem. Second level of problem, like he mentioned, 20 years in the game, right? There's no trust factor being visible here. Like, I come to this website and I don't feel that, I can trust this website. What will I trust it on? This is the only factor that you have provided for me to have some trust in you. Right? And I've gone through the whole website, I still haven't seen a single number. How much are these for? So for example, Jhumkas, right? Jhumkas starting at $500 gives me a good premise to work from. Again, guys, what is the thing with caps?
Most website level is broken because it's very loud.
Yeah, so you could have taken the whole white space to put it. Please don't put caps. Then new versus sale versus earrings, right, is not the same thing. New and sale can still be categorized the same thing, but earrings are not too sure. And so it says this earrings pendants. Now I am not able to create the section. The section actually is this, right? Yeah. Then why does it say earrings again? Yeah, so that's what you need to resolve, these kind of things. New and sale needs to show as new and sale. I don't feel that excitement in new. I don't feel that something is on sale with sale. I don't see the sections being created. Like if I was here, right, I wouldn't know whether pendant is for this or the top one. So that section system is not getting created. Then while he was suggesting try and buy, one interesting factor that works with try and buy is upsell. In US, there are startups that are trying to upsell electronics with try and buy scenario. So some ex-Apple guy has come up with a new startup that allows you to order online from Apple stores. They get the Apple devices to you to give you a demo of how to use them effectively and then suggest things that you can use with them. So, for example, this particular dock charger works really well in your office. There are higher chances of you buying it at that moment there in them, which is what he's suggesting with jewelry. Right? So you can do those kind of things. But my overall feedback is it's a jewelry showroom website. It's not an e-commerce website, even though it's built on Shopify. I have already given you the feedback on branding offline. So for everyone who is not present, in terms of branding, so they do a lot of handcrafted stuff. If you look at the mark with flower, it will give you that feel of handcrafting, which is great. But the font used in the branding, the core jewelry, right? It's a very modern, chic kind of font. Doesn't gel with the whole thing. Then what he asks you in terms of artisans, designs, and you said that 50% of these things are manufactured in-house and the rest are sourced and so on. Great story. I don't see it here. I don't want to go to your blog. So if you check analytics, I don't know how many people have gone to your blog because your blog is all in Texas, no visuals. Yeah, but have you seen that funnel, the journey? How many people have come to the website homepage and gone to the blog? Because honestly, I don't know where your blog is. Look at this fold, right? For your blog to appear, I need to reach this point. I don't know how many people have reached this point. So you might be putting a lot of effort in creating that blog, but it's not working for you, right? Might as well understand how to kind of work with this, what you have right now here. Like search in itself is not visible, even though what for e-commerce website search is one of the greatest factors. So we need to work with these kind of factors. Thanks, Ed.
No, I think you have enough inputs. Do you really want to have inputs from the audience? Some of the women, yes, fantastic. And so guys, please.
Even the men, because men buy gifts, so that's one category.
Yeah, she was disagreeing when he was trying to say something about the target. She was like, I want to buy it. Right? Yeah.
Yes, I'm 37. I do my entire shopping online. I never want to visit a store if I can avoid it. So it's a myth that people above 30, women above 30, 35 don't shop online. I do everything online. It's patronizing to think that they need to visit stores. Another thing is 30 and 50-year-old women have deep pockets. A lot of women are earning. That's why they know what to buy and they have the third is why are you so bad with your product, high quality product. At some point I dropped out using both people not online. So one thing is that use Instagram. I saw it on my Instagram page. People are lucky to have thousands of followers from high quality. So to get somebody very youngster who post stuff. And other thing is get styled photos. Like I may wear one jewelry one way, but somebody else may wear it another way. That really matters. Everyone is on, all women are on Instagram. People who are paying. So get on Instagram. It's a visual media. Sure. We worked on Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram is the third thing is get your product for web series or something. Like whichever comment web series, get to really wear it. That last ads of your product. That's how that you can probably buy a product. No, she can
Yeah, again about the social media marketing, I'm a fan of your shop. I keep visiting every now and then to see what's new. But the only problem is I don't see it as often as I see other brands. Being a jewelry fan, I do follow a lot of other people who be you have quality to match them, but you're not there there everywhere. If you really want to hit online market, you need to pay more attention on social media marketing and also, like she suggested, more of visual marketing. So that's we want to see you more.
Yeah, thanks. It's good. Can I have one point? No, one second.
Hi, my name is Monica, and I'm very busy, but I would love all of this.
Everybody is disclosing their age. Better, women are disclosing is better not disclosing their age.
Right now, all Jukas are small, right? But as soon as I suppose I don't very much. But suppose if I want buy something faster, I will go for the traditional looking Rajasthani styles. So probably you can have something like this, which can show the drawing on my own face, how big is it, check which kind of design artist you want to do. Like how you mentioned WhatsApp power, most of the skill like alerts about some new version of products coming in, somebody likes text on the thing and you can show girls wearing that particular jewelry, all the pictures right on the website.
WhatsApp is a little tedious because we need staff for that, so we avoid something comparing. It takes up a lot of.
But I think that's cheap stuff.
I just want to add, I have a friend in the IT Delhi incubator who has built a product for businesses to use wherein people can use their own mobile cameras and try jewelry online. But she's selling it to online jewelry stores. So I think just ask that.
Yeah.
So all those people open entrepreneurs from LSR. Yeah, Kevin, you were saying something.
Yeah, so it's a great point about using Instagram. So if you look at a couple of brands, let's say if you're targeting the Bangalore, you pick out influencers in Bangalore, let's say beyond 10,000 followers, and you just make it showcase your jewelry on their stories or posts. It might not cost you that much. Yeah, so that's a great point that I think you should try that. It's an easier way to sell, even increase your audience on Instagram.
Actually, one of the most cliched ways of getting anything on social media is not this. But in our case, it's one of the best ways to do it. If you actually have movies, having the cuts and so on, I was nothing to as a contest prize, and girls would love it. Won't they? You're not a girl.
I'm not responding. I'm like, they said yes.
Keeping the sentiments apart, I just like to tell you, jewelry purchase in India has a serious trust issue. If at all somebody has to buy it online, you will have to think 10 times before buying it. And if at all you're made
not girls, sorry.
Actually, do you have any feedback? Quick feedback. So no, you are already contradicting. She's already buying online.
No, one second. Like sentiments are kept
No, your sentiments are with you. Okay, anything other than that?
Like the age group that has been targeted, that is from 30 to 50. In India, that age group is still not that educated.
No. So that's what actually. Okay, guys, shut up. Okay, thank you very much.
One quick insight. I'll tell you how small time jewelers in Chandni Chowk retail stuff online. They only use WhatsApp, is what I was trying to say. They only use WhatsApp. And they will send you daily digest of new designs and sales and all of that. And all women love those WhatsApp groups because then, like, all you need to do is just say yes, and now you can pay through WhatsApp. So we can resolve those issues. But that's
Okay,
the cheapest way to
guys, I think thank you very much. Now, actually, I want to ask the audience: do you have any specific questions for the panel on any of the things? So, not related to the feedback to the startups, but do you have any specific questions to the panel? Yeah. Just because they already got the chance. give it to the people. Yeah, you'll get it actually. So we have exactly 8 minutes.
We run a education startup. The question is we cater to both B2B and B2C sides of business. We tie up with B2B institutes. At the same time, we also want to target B2C, websites. So the problem for us is what should we focus on in our website, in our platform? Should we focus on
question two?
Question to
Himanshu.
Yeah. So what should we focus more on in terms of B2B established, B2C we want to grow. So what should we focus more on? Like
So technically you're a marketplace. Think about it like this.
Yeah.
And think of numbers you can target.
Sure.
So if your B2C has lot more number of people, that's what your majority of the focus needs to be on the website, but not the only focus.
Sure.
You also need to cater to the other guys. So have some CTAs there that if they are from the B2B side, this is the particular section for them to visit.
Sure.
But a typical marketplace model will work really well for them.
Sure. Sure. Thank you.
I have two specific questions. One is for NSR RCL and one for Himanshu.
So NSRCL question, can we take it offline? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm there post this, I'm there. We can take it offline.
Yes, sure.
Yeah.
No problem. So Himanshu, you have talked about UI UX more in detail specific. What is that you grab the attention when you see a website in specific and in generic, the speciality or anything else? As a marketer, I know CTA is useful, UI UX suggestions are appreciated, and what is that your core that is nice to have on the website? What is the best brainstorm future that you would like to suggest to the audience well in advance? Yeah.
As such, there is no thumb rule, so to say, and no, CTAs are not important for what you're asking. CTAs are important to take the next action. Much before that, what is really important is a high-level pitch from the business, whether it's textual, visual, text plus visual, or video, multiple ways possible, right? It could very well be the first word, could very well tell you 3 things that we do right. And that's about it. I remember someone mentioned 10 seconds on the website that 10 seconds are really crucial, but actually the first 2 seconds are the crucial ones, because beyond that, just clicking on that cross is very easy. And trust me, there are enough and more competition in the market than we know or we can search for.
Anyway, I don't know whether last week only I wrote an article saying that 7 seconds is what actually after that 50% of the people drop out. This is based on the cloud information where we capture the looking at the various websites, traffics and everything. What we saw is 1 second, 5% goes down, 2 seconds, by 7 seconds, 50% of the people go out of the websites. Okay, it need to be load faster also.
Yeah. My question is with respect to the competition. See, whenever you come up with a venture, one invariable question that comes in any pitch or any is, who are your competitors? And not being able to kind of understand what that exactly means. The reason is people always ask for a market leader, right, for a specific venture. And then when you actually go to the market and talk to people, you see that nobody actually uses that market leader. So market leader is there in the space and they have been branded and it's like big.
So,
but
you're giving the reason behind your question. I think
sir, please allow me to speak. I'm asking the question, very relevant, sir. And now when you actually go to the market, you see that nobody is actually using it. But it's being questioned everywhere when you go for a pitch. So how relevant is this market leader in the space and the competition when you are really having a strong venture of yourself or product of yourself?
Question 2?
Questions to Vijay.
Okay. Fantastic.
Have I understood your question well? Your question was market leaders not being used. Yeah. And why is the question of competitors coming into play?
Why it is relevant?
Why is it relevant?
Yeah. What's the relevance?
Yeah. Fundamentally, 2 things happen with that question. One is, as an investor, if I ask you that question, it means, do you really know what problem you're solving? So I'll give you an analogy. You say I'm a doctor, right? But I want to know whether you're a dentist, orthopedic doctor, you know what I mean, right? Because businesses, when they are discovered at an ideation stage, we've tried a lot of ideas. Right? Even with CloudCherry, I had 3 ideas, 1 failed, 2 fairly clicked, and 1 became CloudCherry, right? It seems very compelling, right? But for you to get to the crux of the problem that you're solving, the value, very hard, right? Early stages you won't understand that. That's why the question of competition, generally you see people responding saying, I don't see competition in this space, which means you've not really hit the sweet spot. So it helps people know that what sweet spot you're in here. Right? Second is, when you have a lot of competitors, great. It's a great business to be, because the question is no longer the market, whether you can capture some of it, right? So it's good to have competitors because it means it's proven. Somebody in offline asked me a question, I'm trying to do something and Urban Clap is already doing it, should I do it or not? I said, if you can do better, faster, cheaper, whatever, right, please do it. Because nobody's going to come back and ask you, is there a market? Because Urban Clap is already doing it. But you got to do better, something more on top of it. So very important for you to answer the competitive question. There is no idea that's left in this world that is not taken the competition. It may be done differently. That's why blue oceans are created, right? Pink fitness came into play not as a new category. Fitness is already there. They just made it safe for women, and when I say safe, comfortable for women and things like that. So any business always has been, unless you are like Alexander Graham Bell who discovers the something, right? So without competition, there's no market. So find your competition first. Then you know what business is.
So they say Google is a 40th search engine when they are doing it.
Yeah.
Yep.
A specific question to Kevin Rajan. So we are not funded yet, and we don't have a UX co-founder with us. What is the cheapest method to get these things in the product right? Because you have been nitpicking on how the user experience goes and think about it. We don't have the skill, or let's say we don't have an eye for it sometimes. We try, but we are not.
I can do that for free for you.
That's good, right?
Yeah. You still want me to answer? Sorry?
You haven't come to the interview.
I will do it.
Yeah. So the question is the relevance, or you are asking what is the?
So that's the exact, because we talk to a lot of
it is so having used your product, I can tell you that it's very relevant. The guy, especially, I can tell you amount of comments I'm giving it, amount of people I'm getting backlash from my hiring team. I can tell you that you need a UI UX. There's no doubt. I'm just telling that it's very much needed for them. Okay, because I'm a customer of them, I'm just giving the open feedback. Okay, so yeah, Sachin.
My question is, this is about your talk in the morning, that don't try to change something when you enterprise sales, because there are frictions and it's difficult to sell when you try to change. But when you try to cater a different market, a consumer market, I'm particularly talking about the agriculture sector, where the farmers are not used to technology and they are going to their own way, and you are going to introduce the technological sector, there's a change and there is resistance there. Then it will take a long time. How to handle this kind of situation? When there is a friction, there definitely is a friction.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think MSME government they've got a lot of schemes enabling it, right? You got to use somebody big to evangelize that thing, right? In my previous startup, we did something around the MSME that 90% of the project value for an entire manufacturing cluster was funded by the government, right? ERP is hard. So, but government paid 90%, 10% was paid by the small and medium businesses, right? Unless you get somebody like that to back you, there's no way you can manage this. Because when you're talking about a farmer community, you're talking about a larger market, right? And I know a couple of friends who are into these businesses and Nagpur and all that stuff. They fail miserably because the first thing that a farmer does, not everybody, right? Mostly, is when they get somebody, they go bring, right? It's very difficult for you to create the change. It has to come by the government. It's a very large problem that you're tackling. $1 billion problem, probably more than that, right? It's very hard for you to get to that without structure.
So the takeaway is we should have a backup of the big
systems. So don't bring about change. A farmer is not going to wake up in the morning and think about. So it's like 10 years ago, if you said, I'm coming with a smartphone, it's not easy. You need a Nokia, you need a Samsung, you need big players to play that game. And then you can ride that wave. So now the government is doing a lot of stuff on this. They have a lot of budget allocated, right? You've got to use the right agency and then.
They're using WhatsApp, Facebook, but not the app or a video.
Yeah, they're using because their friends are using. That's what I said. Behavior change is very hard.
So one last question.
Yeah, my question is for Vijay sir. So you have been against.
Call me Vijay, man. Not
Okay. My question is for Vijay. So you have been against giving your service for free. I mean, what's the problem with getting some customers in your bucket for free and then start charging to other customers after that? What is the issue with giving your service for free in the beginning?
It's not a formula that I'm giving. I'm saying what works for us, right? When you're dealing with large enterprises, you want to remove the noise, which means now if I turn around dance class, right? They had a great idea. I saw a lot of hands go up. But right now, if you turn around and say, how many people are willing to pay the 500 rupees today, right now? Trust me, more than 80% of the hands will come. Exactly, go think about it, right? That's the problem. The one thing that scares for you is not even money as a starter because you can find it. It's time. It's that opportunity, time, right? So you don't want to go behind 10 customers whom you think will become customers and not be customers. The feedback I gave to them also. So therefore, don't give. If people don't value your time, value what you're doing, and if they don't think, initially the first 10 customers have to be, I'm looking at somebody to solve this. Somewhere deeper, they may not be articulate about it, right? And they have to work with you, right? So therefore, very important to find people in it. Otherwise, it's not work for us. There are businesses that get very difficult. My experience.
Okay, guys. With that, actually, that's our closes. First of all, I would like to thank
all the panels actually. So anyway, we don't give any mementos or anything. What we give is a big round of standing applause. So please, I request you a standing applause to all the panel members. Thank you very much.